In the heart of the kingdom of Elora, nestled between towering mountains and lush forests, stood a magnificent castle that had weathered the tests of time. Its turrets kissed the sky, and its walls, covered in creeping ivy, held secrets as old as the kingdom itself. This was the home of Queen Althea, the beloved ruler whose beauty was matched only by her wisdom. Queen Althea had inherited the throne at a young age after the tragic death of her parents. She had grown into a fair and just ruler, known for her kindness and her unwavering commitment to her people. Her presence brought a sense of peace and prosperity to Elora, and under her rule, the kingdom flourished. The castle, however, held a secret. Whispers of an unseen presence had circulated among the servants for years. Stories of a ghostly figure wandering the halls at night were common, but Queen Althea had always dismissed them as mere superstitions. She was too pragmatic to believe in ghosts. Althea's days were filled with the duties of ruling her kingdom. She held court, listened to the concerns of her subjects, and made decisions that would ensure the continued prosperity of Elora. Her nights, however, were a different matter. Despite her dismissals of the ghost stories, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her as she slept. One particularly stormy night, Althea retired to her chambers earlier than usual. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. As she settled into her bed, a sense of unease washed over her. She closed her eyes, trying to ignore the feeling, but sleep eluded her. The castle seemed to groan and creak, as if it were alive. Althea opened her eyes and glanced around the room. Everything appeared normal, yet the feeling of being watched persisted. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart, and turned over to face the wall. Just as she was beginning to drift off, a cold breeze brushed against her face. Her eyes snapped open, and she saw a faint, ethereal glow near the foot of her bed. Althea sat up, her heart pounding in her chest. The glow grew brighter, and a figure began to materialize before her. Althea stared in disbelief as the figure took shape. It was a young woman, dressed in the simple attire of a maid, her form translucent and shimmering in the candlelight. The ghostly woman had a look of sorrow etched on her delicate features, and her eyes, though filled with sadness, held a glimmer of hope. "Who are you?" Althea asked, her voice trembling. The ghostly figure hesitated for a moment before speaking. "My name is Lysandra. I once served in this castle, long before your time, your majesty." Althea felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Why are you here? What do you want from me?" Lysandra's eyes filled with tears. "I seek justice, your majesty. I was wrongfully accused and met a tragic end. My spirit cannot rest until the truth is revealed." Althea's fear began to subside, replaced by a deep sense of empathy. "Tell me your story, Lysandra. I promise to listen." Lysandra took a step closer, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. "Many years ago, I was a maid in this castle. I served the royal family with loyalty and devotion, but one fateful night, I was accused of treason. They said I had conspired with enemies of the crown. I was arrested, tried without evidence, and executed." Althea's heart ached for Lysandra. "That's terrible. How could such an injustice happen?" Lysandra's gaze hardened. "It was a conspiracy, your majesty. There were those within the court who sought to seize power, and I was an easy scapegoat. My death allowed them to cover their tracks." Althea's mind raced with questions. "Do you know who was behind this conspiracy?" Lysandra nodded. "I have my suspicions, but I lack the means to prove it. That's why I need your help, your majesty. You have the power to uncover the truth and bring those responsible to justice." Althea felt a surge of determination. I will help you, Lysandra. I promise to uncover the truth and ensure that justice is served. But first, I need to understand more about what happened. Can you show me where this all began? Lysandra's face softened with gratitude. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will guide you to the places where the key events took place. Together, we will uncover the truth. As the ghostly figure began to fade, Althea felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that helping Lysandra find peace would not only right a terrible wrong but also strengthen the kingdom she loved so dearly. The following day, Althea could hardly focus on her royal duties. The haunting encounter with Lysandra lingered in her mind, and she felt a growing sense of urgency to uncover the truth. After finishing her morning meetings, she summoned her most trusted advisor, Sir Cedric, to her private chambers. Sir Cedric, a seasoned knight with a stern but kind demeanor, had served the royal family for decades. He entered the room and bowed deeply. Your Majesty, how may I assist you? Althea gestured for him to sit. Cedric, I need your help with a matter of great importance. Last night, I encountered a spirit in my chambers. She claims to be Lysandra, a maid who served in this castle many years ago and was wrongfully executed for treason. Cedric's eyes widened with surprise. A ghost, Your Majesty? Are you certain? Althea nodded. I am. She told me her story and asked for my help to uncover the truth. I believe her, Cedric. There's a sadness in her eyes that cannot be feigned. Cedric leaned forward, his expression serious. If what she says is true, we must investigate, but we must proceed with caution. Accusing members of the court of such a conspiracy could have serious consequences. Althea agreed. That's why I need your discretion. We must gather evidence and ensure that we have a solid case before making any accusations. Lysandra mentioned a hidden diary. If we can find it, it might contain crucial information. Cedric nodded. I will start by looking into the castle archives. There may be records or documents that can shed light on Lysandra's story. In the meantime, Your Majesty, please be careful. If there are those who wish to keep this buried, they may not take kindly to our investigation. With Cedric's assurance, Althea felt a renewed sense of hope. She knew that uncovering the truth would not be easy, but she was determined to see it through. That night, she returned to her chambers, hoping to speak with Lysandra again. As she lay in bed, the familiar cold breeze brushed against her face. She opened her eyes and saw Lysandra standing by her bedside, her expression filled with both anticipation and fear. Your Majesty, Lysandra began, have you decided to help me? Althea sat up and nodded. Yes, Lysandra. I have spoken with my advisor, Sir Cedric, and we will begin investigating your case, but we need more information. You mentioned a hidden diary. Can you tell me where it is? Lysandra's eyes lit up with gratitude. Thank you, Your Majesty. The diary is hidden in the old servants' quarters, behind a loose stone in the wall. It contains my personal thoughts and the events leading up to my arrest. It should provide the evidence you need. Althea listened carefully and memorized the location. I will retrieve it first thing tomorrow. Is there anything else we should know? Lysandra hesitated, her form flickering. Be cautious, Your Majesty. The conspirators are powerful and will stop at nothing to protect their secrets. Trust no one but Sir Cedric, and those you are certain of. Althea nodded, feeling a chill run down her spine. I understand. We will proceed with caution. Thank you, Lysandra. We will bring justice to your memory. As Lysandra began to fade once more, Althea felt a deep resolve settle within her. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but she was determined to see it through. For Lysandra, for her kingdom, and for the truth. The next morning, Althea and Sir Cedric set off for the old servants' quarters. The once bustling area was now abandoned and overgrown with weeds. The walls were crumbling, and the air was thick with dust and memories of the past. Althea led the way, guided by Lysandra's instructions. They reached the spot where the loose stone was supposed to be and began to search. After a few minutes, Sir Cedric found it and carefully pried it open, revealing a small cavity. Inside, wrapped in an old, tattered cloth, was Lysandra's diary. Althea took it in her hands, feeling the weight of its importance. She opened it and began to read the first few entries, which detailed Lysandra's daily life as a maid. But as she read further, the entries became more troubling. Lysandra wrote about strange occurrences in the castle, whispered conversations she overheard, and her growing fear as she realized she was being watched. The final entries were filled with panic and confusion, detailing the night she was arrested and her desperate attempts to proclaim her innocence. Althea's heart ached as she read Lysandra's words. She could feel the young maid's fear and desperation, and it only strengthened her resolve to uncover the truth. She shared the diary with Sir Cedric, who read it with a grim expression. "This is powerful evidence, Your Majesty," Cedric said. "We must be careful with how we proceed. We need to find more concrete proof to support Lysandra's claims." Althea agreed. "We will continue our investigation discreetly. Let's start by examining the records of the trial and identifying those who were involved in the decision to execute Lysandra." Cedric nodded. "I will begin my search in the archives immediately. There may be documents that were overlooked or forgotten." As Cedric set off for the archives, Althea returned to her chambers, the diary clutched tightly in her hands. She knew the journey ahead would be difficult, but she was determined to see it through. For Lysandra, for the kingdom, and for justice. That evening, Althea sat by the fireplace in her chambers, reading through Lysandra's diary in more detail. The entries painted a vivid picture of life in the castle from a servant's perspective. Lysandra wrote about her hopes and dreams, her friendships with other maids, and her unrequited love for a young knight named Gareth. As Althea read, she felt a deep connection to Lysandra. She could see the young maid's spirit and determination in her words, and it only strengthened her resolve to uncover the truth. One entry, in particular, caught her attention. It was dated just a few days before Lysandra's arrest and mentioned a secret meeting she had witnessed in the castle's west wing. Lysandra had been on her way to deliver a message when she overheard several high-ranking officials discussing plans to overthrow the king. Althea's heart raced as she read the names of those involved. They were some of the most powerful and trusted members of the court, including Lord Ravenwood, the king's advisor, and Lady Marys, the head of the royal treasury. Lysandra had noted their plans in detail, but she hadn't understood the full implications at the time. Armed with this new information, Althea knew she had to act quickly. She summoned Sir Cedric to her chambers and shared the diary entry with him. Cedric's expression grew grave as he read. "This is damning evidence, Your Majesty. If what Lysandra wrote is true, we have a conspiracy on our hands. We must proceed with extreme caution." Althea nodded. "We need to gather more evidence and identify anyone else who may be involved. We can't make any accusations until we have a solid case." Cedric agreed. "I will continue my search in the archives. There may be other documents that can support Lysandra's claims. In the meantime, I suggest you keep this diary hidden and trust no one but me with its contents." Althea promised to keep the diary safe. She knew the risks of their investigation, but she was determined to see it through. For Lysandra, for the kingdom, and for justice. Over the next few weeks, Althea and Sir Cedric worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. Cedric spent long hours in the archives, sifting through old records and documents. He found several pieces of evidence that supported Lysandra's claims, including letters and financial records that pointed to a conspiracy within the court. Althea continued to read Lysandra's diary, finding more details about the conspiracy and the key players involved. She also began to question members of the court, using her position to subtly gather information without raising suspicion. One evening, as Althea was reviewing the latest findings with Cedric, Lysandra appeared once more in her chambers. Her ghostly form seemed more solid than before, and her eyes were filled with determination. "Your Majesty," Lysandra began, "I have been watching and listening. You are close to uncovering the truth. But there is one more piece of evidence that you need. It is hidden in the old library, in a book that belonged to the former king." Althea listened intently. "What is this evidence, Lysandra?" Lysandra's gaze hardened. "It is a letter from Lord Ravenwood to Lady Maris, detailing their plans to overthrow the king. It was hidden to protect their conspiracy, but I know where it is. You must retrieve it." Althea nodded. "Thank you, Lysandra. We will find it and bring those responsible to justice." Lysandra's form began to fade, but she left Althea with a sense of urgency. Time was running out, and they needed to act quickly. The next day, Althea and Cedric set off for the old library, a forgotten part of the castle that had fallen into disuse. They searched through the dusty shelves, guided by Lysandra's instructions, until they found the book in question. Inside the book, they discovered the letter Lysandra had mentioned. It was a detailed account of the conspiracy, signed by Lord Ravenwood and Lady Maris. The evidence was irrefutable. With this final piece of evidence, Althea knew they had enough to confront the conspirators and bring them to justice. The time had come to reveal the truth and clear Lysandra's name. As Althea and Cedric prepared to confront the conspirators, they knew they needed a plan to ensure the safety of the kingdom. The evidence they had gathered was damning, but the conspirators were powerful and dangerous. They couldn't afford to underestimate them. That night, Althea and Cedric met in a hidden chamber deep within the castle. The room was accessible only through a secret passage, known only to a few trusted members of the royal family. It was the perfect place to plan their next move. Cedric spread out the documents they had collected on a large table. "We have everything we need, Your Majesty. The letters, the financial records, and Lysandra's diary all point to the same conclusion. Lord Ravenwood and Lady Maris conspired to overthrow the former king and used Lysandra as a scapegoat." Althea nodded, her expression determined. "We need to present this evidence to the court and ensure that justice is served. But we must be careful. If they sense that we are onto them, they may try to flee or retaliate." Cedric agreed. "I suggest we call a special council meeting and present the evidence there. We can have guards on standby to arrest the conspirators once their guilt is proven." Althea considered the plan. "It's a good idea, but we must ensure that the council members are trustworthy. We cannot risk another betrayal." Cedric nodded. "I will personally handpick the guards and ensure that they are loyal. We will also need to prepare the council members and make sure they understand the gravity of the situation." With the plan in place, Althea felt a sense of anticipation. The time for justice was at hand, and she was ready to confront the conspirators and clear Lysandra's name once and for all. The following day, Althea called a special council meeting. The members of the council, unaware of the true purpose of the meeting, gathered in the grand hall. Althea sat at the head of the table, her expression calm but resolute. As the council members settled in, Althea rose to address them. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I have called this meeting to address a matter of great importance. Recent investigations have uncovered evidence of a conspiracy within our court. A conspiracy that led to the wrongful execution of a loyal servant and the betrayal of our former king. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as the council members exchanged worried glances. Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys, seated near the center of the table, remained outwardly calm, but Althea could see the tension in their eyes. Althea continued, her voice steady. I have gathered irrefutable evidence of this conspiracy, including letters, financial records, and the diary of Lysandra, the maid who was wrongfully accused and executed. The evidence points to Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys as the primary conspirators. The room fell silent as Althea presented the evidence. She laid out the letters, the financial records, and Lysandra's diary, each piece of evidence painting a damning picture of the conspiracy. Lord Ravenwood rose to his feet, his face flushed with anger. This is preposterous. These accusations are baseless and slanderous. I demand to know the source of this so-called evidence. Althea met his gaze with unwavering resolve. The evidence speaks for itself, Lord Ravenwood, and the source is none other than Lysandra herself, who has returned to reveal the truth. Lady Marys stood, her expression one of defiance. This is a farce. You expect us to believe in ghost stories and baseless accusations. We demand a fair trial. Althea nodded. You will have your trial. But know this, the truth will come to light and justice will be served. Guards, arrest Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys. The guards, who had been waiting outside the hall, entered and apprehended the conspirators. Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys struggled and protested, but they were quickly subdued and taken into custody. As the council members watched in stunned silence, Althea felt a sense of triumph. The conspirators had been exposed, and Lysandra's name would finally be cleared. The trial of Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys was held in the Grand Hall, attended by the council members, key court officials, and a select group of trusted guards. Althea presided over the proceedings, determined to ensure that justice would be served. The evidence was presented systematically, starting with the letters that detailed the conspirators' plans to overthrow the former king. Each piece of evidence was scrutinized and witnesses were called to testify about the events leading up to Lysandra's execution. Althea watched as the conspirators' defenses crumbled under the weight of the evidence. Their attempts to deny their involvement and discredit the evidence only made their guilt more apparent. The testimony of the witnesses, combined with the damning documents, left little room for doubt. Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys, once powerful figures in the court, now stood exposed and vulnerable. Their desperation was palpable as they realized that their carefully constructed lies were unraveling before their eyes. As the trial neared its conclusion, Althea addressed the court. The evidence presented here today has revealed a grave injustice. Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys conspired to betray the crown and used Lysandra as a scapegoat to cover their tracks. Their actions led to the wrongful execution of an innocent woman and the destabilization of our kingdom. She turned to the conspirators, her gaze unwavering. For your crimes of treason, conspiracy, and murder, you will be sentenced to life imprisonment. May your punishment serve as a reminder that justice will always prevail. The room was silent as the sentence was pronounced. The guards led Lord Ravenwood and Lady Marys away, their once defiant expressions replaced with despair. With the trial concluded, Althea felt a sense of closure. The conspirators had been brought to justice, and Lysandra's name had been cleared. She knew there was still much work to be done to heal the kingdom, but she was determined to lead with integrity and compassion. In the days that followed the trial, Althea and Cedric worked tirelessly to ensure that the kingdom was secure and that the remaining members of the conspiracy were identified and dealt with. The court underwent a thorough reformation, with new measures put in place to prevent such injustices from occurring again. Althea also made it a priority to honor Lysandra's memory. She ordered a memorial to be built in the castle gardens, a place where people could come to remember the loyal maid who had given her life in the service of the kingdom. The memorial included a plaque with Lysandra's name and a brief account of her story, ensuring that her sacrifice would never be forgotten. As the kingdom began to heal, Althea felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Cedric by her side and the support of her loyal subjects, she was confident that she could lead Elora to a brighter future. The trial of the remaining conspirators was held in the same grand hall where Lord Ravenwood and Lady Maris had been sentenced. The evidence against them was overwhelming, and the court quickly found them guilty of their crimes. Althea presided over the proceedings with a firm but fair hand. She made it clear that justice would be served, and that the kingdom would not tolerate betrayal or corruption. The sentences handed down were severe but just, and Althea hoped that they would serve as a deterrent to others who might seek to harm the kingdom. As the last of the conspirators were led away, Althea felt a sense of satisfaction. The kingdom was finally free from the shadow of betrayal, and she could focus on rebuilding and moving forward. With the trials concluded and the conspirators sentenced, Althea turned her attention to the future. She held a series of meetings with her advisors and trusted council members, discussing plans for the kingdom's recovery and growth. Althea knew that rebuilding trust among her people would be a long and difficult process, but she was determined to see it through. She implemented new policies to ensure transparency and accountability within the court, and she worked to strengthen the kingdom's defenses against external threats. Throughout it all, Althea remained steadfast in her commitment to justice and fairness. She knew that her actions had restored hope and confidence in the kingdom, and she was determined to continue leading with integrity. With the conspirators brought to justice and the kingdom beginning to heal, Althea felt a sense of closure. She knew that her work was far from over, but she was grateful for the progress they had made. One night, as she sat by the fireplace in her chambers, Lysandra appeared once more. Her ghostly form seemed more solid than ever, and her eyes were filled with gratitude. "Your Majesty," Lysandra began, her voice soft and gentle, "thank you for everything you have done. You have brought justice to my memory and peace to my spirit." Althea smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "It was the least I could do, Lysandra. Your courage and determination inspired me to seek the truth. You deserve to rest in peace." Lysandra's form began to fade, but she left Althea with a sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I can finally rest now. May your reign be long and prosperous." As Lysandra disappeared, Althea felt a sense of closure and peace. She knew that Lysandra's spirit had found rest, and she was grateful for the opportunity to have helped her. The next day, Althea held a ceremony in the castle gardens to unveil the memorial to Lysandra. The event was attended by members of the court, the royal family, and many of the kingdom's citizens. Althea stood before the memorial, her heart filled with gratitude and determination. "Today, we honor the memory of Lysandra, a loyal servant who gave her life in the service of our kingdom. Her courage and sacrifice will never be forgotten." As the ceremony concluded, Althea felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that there was still much work to be done, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead. With the support of her people and the memory of Lysandra to guide her, she was confident that she could lead Elora to a brighter future. In the weeks that followed, Althea focused on healing the kingdom and rebuilding trust among her people. She implemented new policies to ensure transparency and accountability within the court, and she worked to strengthen the kingdom's defenses against external threats. Althea also made it a priority to address the needs of her citizens. She held regular meetings with representatives from different regions of the kingdom, listening to their concerns and working to find solutions to their problems. The people of Elura responded positively to Althea's efforts, and the kingdom began to thrive once more. Althea felt a sense of fulfillment in her work, knowing that she was making a positive difference in the lives of her people. As the kingdom continued to heal, Althea found solace in her duties and the support of her loyal subjects. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to lead with integrity and compassion. Althea also took time to reflect on her journey and the lessons she had learned. She knew that her experiences had made her a stronger and wiser ruler, and she was grateful for the opportunity to serve her kingdom. With a renewed sense of purpose, Althea looked forward to the future. She knew that there would be challenges ahead, but she was confident that she could face them with the support of her people and the memory of Lysandra to guide her. As the years passed, Althea ensured that Lysandra's story was remembered. She commissioned a series of paintings and sculptures depicting Lysandra's life and her role in uncovering the conspiracy. These works of art were displayed in the castle and throughout the kingdom, serving as a reminder of Lysandra's courage and sacrifice. Althea also established a scholarship in Lysandra's name, providing opportunities for young women from humble backgrounds to pursue their education and dreams. The scholarship became a symbol of hope and empowerment, and it helped to create a brighter future for many. Through these efforts, Lysandra's legacy lived on, inspiring future generations to stand up for justice and truth. Althea knew that Lysandra's memory would continue to guide the kingdom for years to come. The castle, once haunted by the ghost of Lysandra, now felt lighter and more welcoming. The sense of unease that had once pervaded the halls was gone, replaced by a feeling of peace and harmony. Althea felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she walked through the castle. She knew that the journey to uncover the truth had been difficult, but it had been worth it. Lysandra's spirit had found peace, and the kingdom had been strengthened as a result. With the castle no longer haunted, Althea could focus on leading her kingdom with confidence and determination. She knew that there would be challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them with the support of her people and the memory of Lysandra to guide her. Althea's leadership was strengthened by her experiences. She had faced betrayal, uncovered the truth, and brought justice to her kingdom. These challenges had made her a stronger and wiser ruler, and she was determined to continue leading with integrity and compassion. The people of Elura looked to Althea with respect and admiration. They saw in her a queen who was willing to fight for justice and stand up for what was right. Althea knew that she had earned their trust, and she was committed to upholding it. With a renewed sense of purpose, Althea led her kingdom into a new era of prosperity and peace. She knew that there would be challenges ahead, but she was confident that she could face them with the support of her people and the memory of Lysandra to guide her. As the kingdom continued to thrive, Althea felt a sense of fulfillment in her work. She knew that she had made a positive difference in the lives of her people, and she was grateful for the opportunity to serve as their queen. Althea also took time to reflect on her journey and the lessons she had learned. She knew that her experiences had made her a stronger and wiser ruler, and she was grateful for the support of her loyal subjects. With a renewed sense of purpose, Althea looked forward to the future. She knew that there would be challenges ahead, but she was confident that she could face them with the support of her people and the memory of Lysandra to guide her. As the years passed, Althea's legacy grew. She was remembered as a just and compassionate ruler, a queen who had faced adversity with courage and determination. Her story, and the story of Lysandra, became legends that were passed down through generations. And so, the kingdom of Illyria thrived, guided by the memory of a brave maid and the strength of a wise queen. Together, they had overcome betrayal, uncovered the truth, and brought justice to their kingdom. And their legacy would continue to inspire future generations to stand up for justice and truth, ensuring that the kingdom of Illyria would remain strong and prosperous for years to come. The moral of the story is that truth and justice prevail, and courage and integrity can bring about positive change even in the face of adversity.